You're 17 years old, and you believe you're about to make the most important choice of your life. College, the golden ticket to success, the beginning of your new era. Your family is thrilled, your teachers are applauding, and your school has your picture on a bulletin board with the words, "Ready for the world." What no one mentions is that this world costs $200,000 with 7% interest. You sign the student loan agreement without reading a single line because, well, everyone does it. And you're part of everyone. You feel mature, prepared, and invincible. But what you've just done is shove your head into a financial guillotine and smile. Yes, congratulations! You've just enrolled not only in college, but also in the most efficient system of lifetime debt ever created by modern capitalism. Welcome to American higher education, where knowledge is expensive and debt is mandatory.
Little by little, the system starts to chew you up. Tuition? $5,000. Books? $1,200 per semester. Sleeping in a dorm with no heating? $1,000 per month. Eating in the cafeteria that serves rubbery chicken? $600 more. But don't worry, the loan covers everything. For now. Every semester, you renew your debt like you're changing clothes. You accumulate zeros as if you were playing a game where the goal is to never win. And that's the beauty of the system. It makes you believe that it's all temporary, that it'll pay off later when you graduate and get an amazing job. What no one tells you is that when that later arrives, you'll already be in debt so much that not even a job on Mars can pay for it. It's like paying in advance for a banquet that, in the end, is served cold, late, and without a napkin. And you still have to leave a tip. You enter the course full of hope. First semester, History of Pre-Colonial African Theater. Second, Philosophy of Quicksand. Third, Introduction to the Critical Reading of Electricity Bills. It all seems super deep until you realize that no company wants to hire someone who knows how to analyze the symbolism of a broom in Iranian cinema. But hey, at least you made friends, cried in a library at 3 a.m., and learned to survive on coffee and embarrassment. You leave college with a degree and an empty bank account. But don't worry, there's always that coach on Instagram saying that success comes to those who persist. What he doesn't mention is that persisting with $90,000 in your account is almost the same as asking for water in a desert with your mouth full of sand and an expired bill hanging around your neck.
The big day has arrived. Graduation. You put on your $300 gown, go up on stage, pick up your diploma as if you were receiving an Oscar, and hear the audience scream. But inside, your soul is already negotiating a deal with anxiety. The only thing you're sure of when you leave there is your debt. The rest is faith and an online resume. The job market, that magical place that was promised so much, looks like a rave full of desperate people handing out LinkedIn posts as if they were religious pamphlets. You don't know whether to get a job or find a sugar daddy. And every email that arrives saying, "Thank you for applying," unfortunately, destroys another little bit of the hope that you paid for in 48 installments. But relax, now you're part of the elite of debtors. And you're even entitled to a special suffering tax. You have a degree, but the market demands 5 years of experience for entry-level positions. What do you mean? You were studying. And now, you find yourself accepting an interview to serve coffee at a startup that promises fast growth. In other words, you'll work like a convict for a salary that barely covers your commute to the office. And when you finally get your first paycheck, you realize that, with luck, you'll be able to pay the minimum installment on your loan. Congratulations! You've just entered working without living mode. Work, pay, repeat. It's an endless loop with a slight hint of humiliation. Because if you complain, there will always be someone to say, "At least you studied, there are worse people." And you respond with a smile and a pang of anger that only grows. Education has become a broken GPS. They promised a destination, but forgot to tell you that the road was paved with debt.
The bank is kind. It offers options. You can pay now or get in a tight spot and pay triple later. What a smart choice. Every month you pay the equivalent of rent and watch your debt balance rise. No matter how much you pay, the interest beats you by a landslide. It's like playing chess against an octopus with 5 PhDs in mathematics. Life becomes a walking spreadsheet. You start turning down social invitations because you have to save. Saving to pay off a debt you've already paid off, and that will last until your grandchild is born. The bills follow you around like a pet. You didn't choose them, but now you're stuck. And when you try to question them, they say, "It's the system. Everyone goes through this." As if that makes it normal to spend 30 years paying off something that took 4. That's not education. It's emotional kidnapping with interest.
You search for how to get out of student debt. The answers are wonderful. Marry rich, win the lottery, die. Because in the US, that's the only debt you can't even declare bankruptcy on. It's your last name now, tattooed on your soul. You try to refinance, it gets worse. You try to postpone it, it doubles. You try to ignore it, they call. They send letters. They send emails. They invade your dreams. Literally. You start having nightmares about the voice of a bank teller saying, "Good night, just calling to remind you that you still owe." And even if you move, change your number, become a hermit in the forest, the bank will find you because it's like your shadow, always there, smiling, with a bill in your hand and a debt in your heart.
In the end, you learned a lot, but none of it is what is on your diploma. You learned how to get into debt with style, how to pretend you were fine on social media, and how to accept that you may never get out of it. The biggest lesson of college in the US is not about knowledge, but about obedience. The system teaches you to owe in order to then domesticate you. You become a perfect citizen, too tired to protest, too busy to think, too in debt to run away. And the most ironic thing? You still feel grateful for having had the opportunity to study, because being able to study is already a privilege, even if you sold your freedom for a piece of paper and a debt badge. And now, at 35 years old, you look up to the sky and think, maybe in the next incarnation, I will take a technical course.